Hello my dear friends, Paul Arakelyan. I'm back on this Friday afternoon, and today's subject, as I typed up on your screen there, you can see it's a question. It's asking, can a IUL policy, which is nowadays very famous, quite famous, because that's how a lot of these multi-level companies, that's what they've been selling, so it's gone quite a long way. And the big question is on your screen that you can read, can an IUL policy be a limited payment guaranteed policy or not? Now the reason that I brought this up is because just today a client just walked out of this office that was given an illustration by one of those multi-level marketing companies. And the guy is 59. Now you have to understand scenarios. Guy's 59, he wants to do retirement planning. Well, obviously when you're 59 and you want to do retirement planning and you want to put away some money, you've missed the boat, because there's no way if you're going to retire at age 66, in 7 years you're going to make so much that you're going to have enough cash value or enough build up inside your policy that will supplement your retirement. You will have something, but maybe not even, especially when you're talking about an IUL policy or a UL chassis that has a surrender charge. You're not going to have enough in 7 years. Not even, you're going to have a lot less than what you paid in your policy to retire on. So this guy was offered that product, the thing is that he's being told that he will only have to pay for 10 years and it's paid off, guaranteed. Now I myself personally sell that company's product. It's a very well-known, good, solid company called Transamerica, a very big name. I respect the company, I sell their product, but how it's being presented to this man, the IUL product, is the problem, because he was being given a printout that shows the policy being paid off in 10 years as a limited pay policy, but he's not showing the guaranteed values, and he's saying if you pay only for 10 years, and it's an outrageous payment what they're charging him, they're saying this policy will be paid off and you'll be able to take all your cash value from your policy and use it. Now I told the client to call and ask for the guaranteed values, and he obviously called him and he said, well, what about the guaranteed values? The agent right away says, well, who's asking you for well, it says, I'm asking you. Why don't you send me the guaranteed values? The entire thing. You gave me only a couple of pages of the illustration showing all the non-guaranteed components of the product. So what I'm trying to get across is, guys, when you come across an IUL policy, somebody's offering you an indexed universal life policy, please be aware of everything that the policy is consisted of. Please open up everything. Read the policy, the illustration pages. Make sure that you understand how the chassis is built, what the chassis is of the policy, the fact that the policy's got an ever-increasing annual renewable term chassis, so as the person's age increases, so does the cost of insurance, and if the person touches the cash value of the policy, then in the future he may be asked to pay a lot higher premiums, and if he can't afford that, he will lose his life insurance policy. Please read those things, guys. I am so upset that these people can go out there and tell potential clients at the age of 59. Now my solution to that was totally different. I told the guy, I said, there's no way that we can build enough cash value in 7 years inside any policy that you buy, whether it's a guaranteed whole life, limited payment whole life, index universal life, variable. There's no way that anybody can offer a man at the age of 59, which has a typically higher cost of insurance than the guy who's in their 30s, to have enough cash value in 7 years to build enough to retire on. I mean, but what the problem is? That the agent honestly feels that they're doing something good, because whoever's training those agents is not professional, and these agents are out there thinking they're doing service to their communities or their relatives or loved ones, but they're not being trained well. That's the problem with these MLMs. There is no training. It's only motivation and recruiting, and That's a big problem. I've said this before, and a lot of people get upset, but please don't get upset. Please just understand, give yourself a chance for your own sake, for your own name, so that down the road when you call your relatives, they will pick up the phone and not ignore you, and or you won't have the face to call them because what you did was terrible. Please read and understand what you're selling, and for the folks who are interested in looking at these products, I mean, there may be times where you get 8 or 10% rate of return inside that policy, but guess what? It's not always, okay? And the cost of insurance will always increase as you get older. So they will use the additional cash values that are inside the contract to offset the increasing cost of insurance throughout the years. You need to understand that when the cost of insurance goes up in the future, you have to have enough reserves left in the policy. But if you're 59 years old and you're being told that in 7 years you will have so much cash value that, obviously the guy was under the impression that he's going to have more, because he was shown some numbers that showed that he has $3,000 more. Obviously, for 7 years, putting that type of money, having $3,000 rate of return is not the ideal thing to do. But first of all, he thought he would have enough money, and if he took out all that money, his policy would still be paid off. Let me tell you something. The IUL chassis would never be paid off on a guaranteed basis. Never be paid off on guaranteed basis. And whoever's running these numbers should show the client all the guaranteed values as well. Because once they see the guaranteed values and they realize that, you know what, down the road, I may not have my life insurance. I may be asked to pay a higher payment, and if I can't afford it, I may lose my life insurance policy, and they're still okay with that, God bless everybody, whoever's doing the business. The agent, the client, anybody that's involved, that's fine. But guess what? 99.9% of the time, the client who's being offered that has the impression of, okay, so I'll take this money and I will have a guaranteed death benefit. The premiums, my payments that I'm making will never go up. And you know what? That's not true. That's not true. Because on their guaranteed basis, they'll be shown that it's not true. Okay? So one needs to understand that there's a lot of moving parts and components to an IUL contract. Okay? It's not that simple. So you can't just think that it's a limited payment whole life policy, and because it's not. There are limited payment whole life policies with guaranteed values, and those limited payment whole life policies really, truly do not have any more cost of insurance after 10 years or 20 years, or they're paid off at age 65, no more cost of insurance. And the whole life policy altogether, from day one, never has an increasing cost of insurance. That's the chassis that it's built on. It does not have an increasing cost of insurance. That's why you can see the guaranteed cash values after 2 years increasing tremendously in a whole life contract, and it has no surrender charges. That's just because the way it's built. But you need to understand that there's a huge difference between those policies. And if you're making a decision on going one way or the other, then you have to understand everything based on all the values and moving parts and the components that the policy is consisted of. You can't just go by non-guaranteed values or only go by the guaranteed values. You have to understand what the consequences of touching that cash value would look like, and what can change. What would you be asked to pay a higher payment in the future when you are a lot older? So all of those things are questions that one needs to answer. And unless you get those answers, please be very wary about purchasing those types of contracts. It is very scary. The people who bought their life insurance policies, the UL contracts in 1980s, none of them are in force anymore. You know why? Because the kind of interest rates that they were being promised in 1980s, and we all know the interest rates were double digit in 1980s, guess what? The interest rates dropped, those policies all vanished, okay? Now the agents that are professional agents have been around for many, many years who have witnessed those things will contest to what I'm saying, okay? But when you're looking at a permanent type of a policy, you're probably needing the insurance forever. So if you want a policy that's forever or for as long as your life continues on, which nobody knows, then you do definitely want to have a policy that gives you some guarantees. I mean, if I'm wrong, correct me. You know, if you're looking for something that's forever, then you probably do want to have that guaranteed, not just by words or by projected values. You want to have some sort of guarantees. Okay, I'm seeing something. Some of you guys are saying some things. It's like you saying Toyota Prius is better than trucks if you're in construction business. Well, I don't know exactly what you mean, but it sounds to me like you know, you're trying to compare a truck to a Prius or something, but that's a very lowball kind of a comparison. Okay, I'm talking about real professional insurance business. Okay, and the real professional insurance business is consisted of real professional insurance contracts and policies, which have many moving parts. So I don't know what company you represent and what you do, but you know, an IUL contract is very different from a whole life contract. And if you disagree that an IUL contract cannot be guaranteed, please show me a guaranteed IUL contract that shows all the values guaranteed, or a limited payment, just like I said, just like it was told this client, a limited payment guaranteed index universal life. Show me that and I will agree with you. But until then, these kinds of comparisons, comparing you know, a truck to a Prius or whatever, I think, with all due respect, don't make any kind of sense. But if you wanna compare policies, I would suggest taking the illustrated values of both types of policies, putting them together. You know, an index universal life, a variable universal life, a whole life, getting the full complete illustrations with all the guaranteed values and looking at them and showing it to clients in that exact terms, so people would understand what they're buying. Because you know, I have to disagree with you that your example of comparing a truck to a Prius has nothing to do with my conversation, and I wish that you know, you would elaborate a lot more, or that you would have a printout of a index universal life company, a product, index universal life policy with all of its guaranteed components, and you could show that you could guarantee an index universal life to be a limited payment policy and have the life insurance policy go forever. So if that happens, then I will apologize to you and I'll say that you know, I agree with you. But until that happens, I can't accept what you're saying. So thank you very, very much. I'm trying to read again. If you read my comment all the way, it will make sense. I sell all kinds of products, including, including whole life, but I don't sell whole life to everyone. Well, I'm very happy that you do that, okay? But, you know, if you're selling an IUL policy, I hope that every single one of your clients know that you know what the guaranteed values are. I hope that every single one of your clients know that the policy that you're selling them does not have guaranteed values, or that if they touch the cash value, the guaranteed death benefit would stop, or they'll be asked to pay a lot higher payment. I hope you tell them that, okay? Because with my experience with the Armenian television, I've had thousands. I have 9,000 clients, personally paying clients, my personal clients, personally paying, premium paying clients that are in force right now, 9,000 policies. And I've seen everything. I've seen everything from every single place, and 99.9% of the time, when clients were sold an IUL contract, they were never told about the fact that their policy may become zeros. Their death benefit at some year, age 65, 63 or whatever, or 70 or whatever, death benefit would show up as being zeros on their illustration. So, and you know, they find out through somebody else, through myself or whatever, and their mind changes all of a sudden. They're really upset. But you can obviously offer them the whole life, as you said, you sell them all. So I'll be curious to find out which clients qualify for your whole life sales and which clients qualify for your IUL sales. Do you sell the IUL to the young folks and whole life to the old folks? Do you sell whole life to, or vice versa? Do you sell whole life to the young little kids? And if you do, what type of whole life do you sell? Do you sell a limited payment whole life? If you are selling IULs to young kids, how do you fund these things? Do you give them a bunch of life insurance? If you don't, you're trying to fund the cash value more. Do these policies ever become a mech? So I'll be curious to find those things out. And if you'd like, we can exchange that information. You could, email me some things, and I can email you stuff, and we can discuss it. I'm open for a forum. I could even have you sit down here. We could do a video together, and we can discuss the policies. So I appreciate your comments, and I know you're a colleague. You said you sell these products, so I would appreciate it if you could share some of that information as to what types of products you sell and who you sell them to. Who's your qualified client for your IUL and who's the qualified client for the whole life. Thank you very, very much. So for the general public, if you are buying an IUL policy, please open your eyes, read the contracts very, very well. Make sure you ask your agent to provide you the illustration with all the pages, all the guaranteed values. Make sure you see what's going on based on guaranteed values before you take that policy on. And again, if you're buying a whole life policy, then again, read everything, all the pages, look at the guaranteed values before you make a decision. Now, life insurance policies, one thing I'll tell you for sure, and I'll be done. Life insurance policies are not meant to be changed throughout your lifetime, okay? That's the worst thing that anybody could do to you, as far as an agent could do to you, especially if they're not changing a temporary policy to a permanent policy, but rather they're changing a guaranteed product to a type of a policy that has no guarantees, okay? Or that they're selling it for all the wrong reasons, such as they're taking a guaranteed permanent product and they're saying this is one of the old types of policies. I hear it on the radio. If you have one of the old policies, please be wary of those ads. Please stay away from those kinds of people that are trying to sell you living benefits or whatever, because those types of you need to understand the taxation part of that. I had a video on that, and I had postings that showed the IRS website showing the taxation issues, how those things get taxed, and the fact that people who are in that situation are most likely going to go ask for government assistance, Medicaid and things like that. Please make sure you understand that receiving those types of benefits will affect your eligibility for Medicaid or any other kind of government entitlements or assistance programs. So those are things you need to understand. And you need, again, like I said, I sell lots of IUL product, but I totally agree with you. If you don't prepare that policy right, there you go. So I know this gentleman, Vagan Arakelyan. I was going to meet with you when I was in Las Vegas at a meeting with a company meeting that I went to for new product development, but we didn't, unfortunately. Next time I'm in Las Vegas, Vagan, I will definitely make it a point that we sit down and go over some things as we're colleagues, exchange some ideas and stuff like that. So I agree with you. Products should be prepared right, and they should be catered to the client the professional way. And your clients are entitled to understand every single thing based on guaranteed values and all the rest, non-guaranteed values and this and that. They need to understand what's going on before they start paying for it. Because, see, life insurance is an age and health sensitive product. So, unfortunately, nobody stays the same age or gets younger. They all get older. We all do, right? And so, if you're getting the wrong product down the road, it's going to cost you a lot more. And it's health sensitive as well. You might not be able to make a change down the road because your health might not be there. So I urge every single person who's thinking about life insurance or has a life insurance policy, please read everything. Please make sure you understand and you read every single thing that's in your policy's illustration, and you ask for all the guaranteed pages to be intact so you can understand how many years your policy is guaranteed for, and not find out that too many years later when there's really nothing you can do about it. Okay? Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for your cooperation and your questions, my friends, my colleagues. Write to me personally, and we'll definitely make it a point to sit down and discuss some policies.